Alright guys, welcome to 2.5. We are solving equations with addition and subtraction. Alright, so the really important thing that we need to learn about is called inverse operations. They are called inverse operations. What are they? Well, they're two operations that undo each other, okay? So what do you think the inverse operation of addition is? Well, you'd be right, and if you guessed that it's subtraction. What's the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. So how does that work its way out in solving equations? Well, let's look at this. If I had x plus 2 equals 10, and we're supposed to solve, right? Well, I know I could do mental math, and so I know 8 plus 2 is 10, that's fine. But solving it algebraically would mean I need to get what by itself? Well, remember when we solve equations, the goal is always to get the variable by itself. I want x to equal some number, right? Some number. So what am I going to do in this case? Well, I have a plus 2 here, okay, or a positive 2. That is what's keeping x from being by himself. So how do I get rid of a positive 2? Well, I have to do the inverse of positive, or the inverse of adding, which is subtracting. And what do I subtract by? Well, I'm going to subtract by 2. The reason is that's now going to give me x plus 2 minus 2 is 0 equals, and if I subtract from this side, I have to subtract the same amount from the other side. 10 minus 2 is 8. And to simplify this even a little further, I don't need the plus 0 there, and all of a sudden I get my answer, x equals 8, or x equals 8. So you've just used an inverse operation there. Well, what about something like this? Take a minute and try this one. Try it, play the video when you're done, see what you get. Alright, so hopefully you looked at that and said, well, it's some number divided by 4 equals 12. Okay. Oh, what's that going to be? Goodness, I don't know. And maybe you guessed it correctly, maybe you didn't, and that's okay. But what do we have going on here? We have division, right? And this dividing by 4 is what's keeping x from being by himself. Because remember, we want x to equal some number. Once we get that, we're done. So how do I get rid of this divide by 4? Well, I'm actually going to multiply both sides by 4. And I put the little 4 up there because this is a fraction, and I need to multiply by a fraction. Okay, so that 4 can become a 4 over 1. Now, do you have to put it over 1? No, you don't. I think visually it's a little simpler because now I can cross cancel. I could cross out that 4 and make him a 1, and that 4 and make him a 1. And so let's operate on this side now. If I multiplied the left side by 4 over 1, I need to multiply this side by 4 over 1. And in this case, I'm not going to make it 4 over 1. I'm just going to keep it as regular 4 because this isn't a fraction, so I'm just an integer, so I'm going to multiply by another integer. So negative 12 times 4, that gets you, of course, negative 48. And that equals, well, what happens over here? Well, we canceled and canceled. So on top, I get 1 times x, which is just x, over 1 times 1, which is 1. And if I simplified it a little further, I can just get rid of that divided by 1 and just make it a regular old x equals negative 48. And you're done. So I really didn't need that box there, but you get the idea. Now, one of the other important parts is checking our solution to see if what we got makes sense. Well, let's see. What was our original equation? It was x over 4 equals negative 12. And we said the solution is negative 48. So how do we check our solution? Well, we're going to plug it in. So where I see an x, I'm going to do a negative 48. Divided by 4 equals negative 12. And yeah, negative 48 divided by 4 is negative 12, and negative 12 equals negative 12. So it checks out, which means our solution of negative 48 is indeed correct. Alright, so I want you to take a second, pause the video, try this one, see what you get, play the video when you're done. Alright, so I hope you're thinking, okay, inverse operation, and get the variable by itself. So the variable is y in this case, and now it's on the right side. Does it matter? Absolutely not. We want our answer to look like y equals some number. Okay? So why is y not by himself or herself? Well, you have a minus 11 that's keeping him from being by himself. So how do you get rid of a minus 11, otherwise known as, how do you make minus 11 or negative 11 0? Well, you're going to add 11 to it, and add 11. And so now you get 23 plus 11, which would get you 34 equals, well, and those cancel. Or they become plus 0, but I don't really need to write the plus 0. I can just write y. So our answer is y equals 34. Now, does that make sense? Well, let's plug our solution back in for y. So I'm going to rewrite this as 23 equals y minus 11, and now I'm going to take that out of there and plug it in right here. So now I can rewrite as 23 equals 34 minus 11. Well, does that make sense? Well, let's see. 34 minus 10 would be 24, minus another would be 23. Checks out, so our solution is correct. All right, so now we're going to create and solve equations. Okay, we've done a little bit of this. We're going to keep on going because it's one of the basic things of algebra, the basic skills. So you are going to travel across the country for a few weeks, and you're going to bring your motorcycle along on a trailer. The trailer itself weighs 755 pounds. After the bike is loaded up, the trailer weighs 1,239 pounds. So how much does the bike weigh? So what we're going to do is create and solve an equation to find the weight of the bike. So, I mean, take a minute and just read through that and think about what you would do if you were setting this equation up. Well, you know, as I read this, I see something that's really important that stands out. And I see the trailer weighs 1,239 pounds. I would call that a total weight. Okay. And it's significant because I know I'm dealing with a bunch of other weights. So if I add up all the weights, I can get the total weight, right? So total weight is equal to, well, let's see, the trailer weight plus the bike weight, right? Okay, so the total weight, well, what is that? Do we know it? Yeah, we said it's 1,239 pounds, 1,239. That's equal to the trailer weight, 755 pounds, plus what? Well, we don't know. So when we don't know, what do? We use a variable, and we're talking about the bike weight, so I'll use B for bike. And now I got the opportunity to do what? Well, from this video we learned about inverse operations. So do I subtract B because I have a plus B? Should I minus B? Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Well, you might be asking, what operation do I do the inverse of? Well, there's two ways of doing this. One way would be saying, okay, I'm going to rewrite this as 1,239 equals, I'm going to switch the B in the 755 because I can use the commutative property of addition. So I could say B plus 755. And now I can use the inverse operation of addition, which is subtraction, to subtract 755. But if I do that from that side, I have to subtract 755 from this side also. And when you do that, you get B, because those cancel, B equals 484 pounds. Okay. Now the other way of doing that, it's a little bit shorter, is to, I'm just going to rewrite the original 1,239 equals 755 plus B. The other way of doing that is just saying, I know this is a positive 755. So how do I get rid of that 755? Because that is the problem here. He is keeping B from being by himself. Well, it's a positive 755, so if I subtract 755 from both sides, I'll end up getting the same answer, canceling there, B equals 484 pounds. Either way you want to do it is totally fine. I use this way because it's a little bit shorter and it gets you the same result. So yeah, there you go, 484 pounds. So that's how you create and then solve an equation. Hope you guys liked the video. I will see you in class.